No simple road.
Osiris.
Hey, this is Brendan from Humphreys McGee. This podcast is part of the Osiris podcast family. Osiris is a growing community of music and culture podcasts connecting music fans with conversation, commentary, and of course, lots of music. Osiris works in partnership with Relics Magazine.
Osiris.
He got back and was like, oh,
There is no way.
cherry pie.
There's no way that Darth Vader allowed cherry pie on the fucking Death Star. No way.
It was just for him.
No.
Yes.
If Darth Vader ate pie, it was like
What do you
quince.
do after a long day of conquering like the universe?
have
You
cherry
go
pie.
back and get cherry pie.
No.
A la mode.
Just for
No.
himself as he sits there and
He
laughs.
ate like bowls of spikes.
Oh, no, he's
Yep.
a gentle, kind soul.
You think?
Yeah,
Deep
after all,
down.
got back to his room, took his helmet off. He's like, "Oh fuck, man."
Put his
What a
feet
day,
in one
I'm
of
glad
those
I have
foot
cherry
massage
pie.
bath things and like, yeah, had a robot there.
And then he's like, "Time for a piece of cherry pie."
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Melanie, weigh in on Darth Vader and cherry pie.
He loves cherry pie. He likes Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream to the side, and
To
That's
the
it.
side.
That's it.
You gotta pull the ice cream over to the left with the cherry pie.
Because
Darth
if
Vader
he puts it on
absolutely
top, it'll
does
melt
not
too
let
fast.
his food touch. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Well, now that we've got all that straight, here, hit the Death Star cherry
It looks
pie.
like there ain't shit to hit, so I'm gonna pass.
Okay. I'm handing
look
Mel
at
the
bowl.
cash bowl. That's bad form.
I didn't do it.
Hey now, No Simple Road family, welcome back. Hi everybody. It's me and Mel and Apple and Ryder and Darwin's here. Say hi, Darwin. What are you doing?
I'm rolling in turds.
So, a bird shit in our driveway, and Darwin has made it his mission this morning to
Roll in it.
lay down kind of sideways with his butt in the air and mash his shoulder into the bird shit.
I don't have shoulders down.
He does too. Look, his shoulder's right here.
Shoulder blade.
Okay, fuck off. Bye. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. This week's episode is Greg Carlwood, and wow. Help us out, Apple.
This was just an incredibly good interview. He hosts THC, the Higherside Chats, which is an incredible podcast. He's been going for years now.
Yeah, he's been at it, what do you say, 10 years?
Something like that. And
Nine?
and he's just amazing. You guys got to listen to him. You'll hear him on the interview, but his show, he's just very engaging. It's very educational. You learn a lot. I've learned how to control my allergies through listening to his show.
I know. Like, who would have thought that doing a couple little simple things like taking magnesium and vitamin C powder and switching the kind of milk that you drink would clear up your allergies?
The
A2
one
milk.
was
We talk about it
easy.
later. Get A2 milk. For real. Like, we ran out and I can't
Drink
do
milk.
cereal now. Like, I put it in my coffee and I'm already... No, it's not good.
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah. And if you don't know what the Higherside Chats is, it's, well,
Conspiracy theory podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
He would say that. It is a conspiracy theory podcast.
I mean, like, really, like, not even like it's almost a conspiracy. It's for
real, yeah.
Like heavy conspiracy theory.
But not like a lot of them that are out there where it's just like all
It's not
hectic and
negative.
stuff.
And he's not a wingnut at all.
No, and he has very, very educated guests most of the time on there that are.
Yeah, like doctors and PhDs and Nobel Prize winners.
And he's single-handedly made Apple almost as paranoid as Eric.
He made it listenable.
Okay, Apple, I want you to tell the listeners about your experience listening to Greg's podcast. So, what did you say to me this week about your listening habits? that you, what? You were like, I can't listen to too much of this.
Oh yeah, it gets overwhelming. You have to let it kind of digest, and because I got on a kick of listening to 3-4 of them a day at work, and that's a lot to
Take
download.
Yeah, there's a lot of information in there.
Yeah,
a lot.
And the way he conducts interviews too, he has people on there he doesn't necessarily agree with. He's like equal opportunity. Lets people on there tell their thing and then gives his rap at the end, which is always awesome.
Mm-hmm. He is the king of intros and outros, dude.
Best intros on the podcast game. Best his theme songs, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Speaking of theme songs,
Before we get to ours, I don't know if you know this, and I didn't ask him while it was on the show. Does he have someone make his
listeners
send them in? Because it's different, like every 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah. I don't think it's something that he asked for. I think it's just something that people have been doing for him.
Weird.
It's fucking rad. And speaking of that,
There you go.
the Higgs, man, John Lavero and that whole crew, those guys were so kind and so awesome. So I don't know if I did it while the mics were still on or not, but
No,
You did not.
You did not.
I didn't. I asked John to write us a jingle, and they fucking did. They delivered, and that's what you guys heard at the beginning of the show, that funky, groovy 15-second jam.
No simple road.
Yeah. And he sent it to us. We all listened to it. We were like, fuck yeah. And I sent him a text back, and I was like, that's awesome, man. We all want the 45-minute Tahoe tweezer version of it. We want to hear that thing stretched out for an hour. So yeah, the Higgs and John, you guys are awesome. And if you guys out there haven't listened to that episode, or you don't know who the Higgs are, go check them out. HIGGS, wherever you stream or download or whatever you do with music thing. The Higgs.
Yeah,
Yep.
I appreciate that funky, groovy, like the second it comes on, you just want to, bob your neck side to side, get the shoulder moving. So, John, thanks for that funky groove.
Yep.
And the guys.
Yeah, guys, thank you. And at the end of the show, you guys have been hearing it for the past 2 or 3 weeks now. The other one that Children of Indigo did for us, too.
That we did not ask.
Yeah, we didn't even ask for that one. That's fucking rad, too. Like, if you guys haven't checked them out or that episode, go listen to that. It's Children with 2 L's, like chilling out, Children of Indigo. And they're fucking amazing and really hooked us up. So you'll hear that at the end of the show. So, yeah, before we get to the actual interview, cough it out, Ryder.
No,
Do it.
yeah.
Get it out. Go. Do it again.
That's it.
Let everybody hear it. Death Star cherry pie cough.
I just want everybody to know it really feels like a winter day as we're podcasting on the porch right
We all
now.
got beanies on. I'm wearing a scarf.
I'm
and
wearing
jackets.
2 jackets.
I've got a robe, a hoodie, and my work clothes on.
Who, like, you guys are out there, and I've seen pictures at some of the Dead and Company shows. Like, it's fucking hot out there in the country. And I was thinking the other day, like, when June would start, when we were living in Vegas, like, when June would start, I would start to panic. Like, oh my God, here goes summer. It's going to be 110 every day. It's like June 10th right now. It's like 50 something degrees and blustery. I love living here. Listen to the wind, guys. Come on.
Good call. It is 50 degrees and bustling.
See? I know my weather. Whatever.
It is going to heat up to 56 today, though.
Oh, fuck. Never mind that.
Everybody's super interested in our weather reports. I'm sure that they're just hanging on our every word right
Isn't
now.
the Pacific Northwest, like, famous for its weather?
All I know is this place has, like, manic weather. It can snow, hail, be 100 degrees, and have a tornado all in an hour. What, Apple?
I was
Speak.
going to tell you, I can also tell you that there's a southwest wind at 11 miles
Yeah,
an
what's the
hour.
barometer?
It feels like 45 degrees, and there's 30.1 on pressure.
So follow us on Instagram at No Simple Road.
82% humidity
Follow
today.
us on Facebook at No Simple Road. Go to www.nosimpleroad.com
40% chance of rain.
Oh my God, stop. For information about the show, past episodes, new episodes, and you can go to the family tab there. That's where you can sign up for the newsletter. And Melanie just asked me a minute ago how often I'm doing the newsletter. And like I said when I started, I'm not going to blow up your inbox with bullshit. I just do it when I feel like it. There's no schedule to it. And it's kind of how you can get into the inner workings of the show. Along with that is hashtagging your posts. That's how we could see what's going on with each other. And, you know, if you're out there at Dead and Company or another show, take a picture of yourself, hashtag No Simple Road, hashtag Found Family, and those will show up on the family tab at nosimpleroad.com. And, you know, it's like, I think the most recent 20. So yeah, get up there and go check yourselves out. It's kind of cool. You know, I haven't been talking about this lately, but because I forget, but one of the most important ways you can help No Simple Road is, after I say this, don't do it now, but hit pause, because 98% of you are listening on Apple Podcasts. So hit pause and go down and leave a 5-star review for the show. You don't actually have to type out words. You can just hit the 5-star thing and then continue on with your day. But if you want to leave words, that's cool. We're into that. We sit around at night and read them when they come through.
Well, the other night we sat down and I started reading a couple of them, and I guess it'd been a while that any of us had checked it. So I was reading them, and they're freaking rad. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
like,
it's really encouraging.
yeah, it is encouraging. Like, usually when we read the posts, we're reading the ones that Aaron gets emailed either through Instagram or the website. But like I said, we haven't taken a chance in a while to read the ones at Apple Podcasts. And you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I wanted to shout out that couple that sings, but I forgot their...
Delaney and Company.
Yeah, you guys are really awesome, and you left a really beautiful review on there, so thank you for that.
Thanks, you guys. And if you guys out there haven't checked them out, go on Instagram and check out Delaney and Company. I think it's DULANEY.
Yeah.
And Company. They're amazing. It's a couple that plays music together, and I don't know, you guys... She has the voice of an angel, and he inspired me to start playing and singing and playing music again, and they're just awesome. So yeah, go check them out. And also, I'm just gonna, I did this before, everybody just hang on. Shop Tour Bus. If you guys haven't checked them out on Instagram, go check them out. Hands down, my favorite packaging for lot shirts and whatnot, guys. Go over to Shop Tour Bus and check it out. Every box is hand designed. They send a tape, a bootleg tape, a pencil to spool it with, free stickers, fucking candy, a picture, and whatever you ordered.
And a bunch of, little
doodads and whatnots and hoo-has. It's the coolest thing. And those guys are awesome. Curios and trinkets. What's the other? Tchotchkes. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Apple. Tchotchkes. So yeah, Shop Tour Bus, Delaney and Company. Are we missing anybody, guys? Bones Coffee Company.
Yeah.
These are all non-sponsors, by the way, but like Bones Coffee Company. I remembered just now. I'm drinking this maple bacon flavored coffee, and it's fucking rad. And they also have one that tastes like goddamn Fruity Pebbles.
What about that beard stuff that you bought?
We're gonna go through all this shit that we did lately.
Yeah.
And the Wolfman beard balm stuff.
Did I say shit? I didn't mean to say
It's
shit.
not shit. That's
it's not
probably
shit.
the
I
best
didn't
beard
mean
balm I've had. It made my beard super soft. So Wolfman Whiskers. That's it.
There you go.
Sorry, Wolfman Whiskers on Instagram. Yeah, so that's that. But my point in all that, before we went off on shouting out a whole bunch of businesses on Instagram, was 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So you're all listening, 98%, like I said, on Apple Podcasts. So you just hit pause, scroll down, and there's a little thing for reviews, and you just hit the 5-star and submit, and on you go. And what that does is with Apple's algorithm and wizardry that they do, somehow that ranks the show. And the
Apple,
more,
how do you do that?
I'm a wizard.
yeah, you are. Look at him with that
I'm
beard.
an Apple genius.
There you go. It does something and puts the show up in their algorithm, and it lets more people find out about the show. When people search Grateful Dead podcasts, it makes us come up on that first page. So if you want to do something to help out the show that doesn't cost any money, that's the way to do it. 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So you can hit pause now and do that, and we'll wait. We're waiting.
We wait.
Did you do it yet?
Are you done?
Okay.
How about
thank
now?
you.
Now? Did you do it?
Well,
Okay.
they would have immediately done it because that's how pause works.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Ryder.
You're
So
welcome.
thanks for doing that, guys. We appreciate it. And yeah, that's how you keep the train rolling down the Apple Podcast track. Now, the one other thing that everybody needs to know about, patreon.com/No Simple Road. I spend time in my day thinking about ways to like say this so it makes sense and it's not boring every time we do a podcast. But let me just say, at the end of the month, when Patreon pays out, it's the fucking coolest feeling to know that people are out there digging what we're doing enough to give digital ones and zeros to us. Like, they're taking the time and going that extra step to support No Simple Road, to make sure that we can keep doing the show and that we have freedom to do it. And I mean, I don't know how long you've been listening, dear listener that's out there right now, but the goal is for all of us to be doing this full time. And that's how you help us get there. So we're doing our part, and we're asking you guys as family to do the same. I mean, if you give $1 a month, that's like a quarter a show. So just saying.
And it's cute.
And it's cute. Ooh, somebody didn't turn off their ringer. Melanie, busted. You have to sing I'm a Little Teapot.
I'm gonna get off the podcast.
Okay.
Hello?
So there goes. We lost Mel. What do we do? I don't know. And Apple's going to hawk into the microphone. And, whoa, great. I'm sure they're enjoying that. Do it again for us, Apple. All right. I don't know. What was I saying before the phone rang? And Patreon.
I don't know. I thought you paused it. That's why I hacked.
What? I don't ever pause. Or when I do, I don't tell you because I'm trying to keep you sharp.
Sharp.
Yeah, you are. Look at you. Like a blade, like a razor
Sharp
over there.
as a wet wash.
So what I was saying is on Patreon, we have started doing porch talks, and those are for Patreon subscribers only, and they're coming out about once a week. We spend about a half an hour to an hour out here on the porch during the week. There's no guests on the porch talks, but from the feedback I've been getting, people have been digging it. So if you want to go deeper with the show, and you know, it's kind of your way to get more involved and be backstage, so to speak, with No Simple Road, that's how you do it. So yeah, sign up on patreon.com/No Simple Road. You can give as little as $1 a month and all the way up to $1 billion a month. If somebody did that,
One.
Please, just one. You only have to do it once.
Yep.
You would really only have to do it
Chandonator
once.
always will be as much as you
I
can
can.
be. Yep, for sure. And we're going to get stickers made of that. And speaking of stickers, they're available at nosimpleroad.com on the merch tab. And we just got pins done of the Wicked Awesome Skull logo, and we're getting shirts made of the Hair of the Wolf Ann logo. And on the front, they're nice pocket tees, and they're like ivory colored. And on the front, on the pocket, it says "On the Bus." That was Mel's idea because she's brilliant.
On the bus.
As opposed to hanging onto the side of the bus or riding on the roof of the bus or hanging out in the trunk on the bus. You're actually on the bus. Like you walked on the door,
Well, you could-
up the little steps and sat down on a seat or laid down in a bed, because
If you're
these are
on
tour
top
buses.
of the bus, you are still technically on the bus.
That's literally
Yeah.
on
the bus.
The
Yeah,
bus.
you're more on the bus than anyone else.
But then if you're off the bus, you're dead.
If you're like standing on the bumper hugging
could
the bus like a
probably
bumper
survive.
sticker, then you're on the
That's
bus.
cool.
Too.
Yeah, okay. Well, you guys
It's
are
like
true.
plastered to the bus. Okay.
Is that how you ride the bus, Apple? Like plastered to the back and
only
hanging
way.
out on the sides?
Yeah.
Right on. So yeah, that's all the fun business stuff. And if you're fast forwarding this is the point where you go, oh, they're almost done. They're getting to the interview.
Yeah.
Just kidding, though. No, I'm just joking. So yeah, Greg Carlwood, everybody. You're going to enjoy this. And if you haven't listened to THC, you should go check him out. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else for me to add because it's all going to be added in about 10 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. So, without any further ado, the man with the plan, he can bust a handstand on American Bandstand. You know what? It's your fucking move, Greg. Oh, Greg Carlwood.
Hey.
Yay!
Hey.
What's going on,
What's
Greg?
happening?
How you doing, man?
Can't complain. How are you guys?
I'm good, man. Sorry about that. That was weird. Like when I put in Higherside chats in there, it was just coming up with a bunch of bots.
Ah, weird.
It's a conspiracy.
I'm not surprised.
Good morning, man. I'm Aaron.
Hey.
Hey, there's 4 of us out here. I got I got Melanie sitting with me.
Hey, man, what's up?
Hey.
And this is Apple, a good friend of Aaron and Melanie's, and we all live here in our little bear mansion together.
And I'm Ryder.
Cool.
Right on, brother.
And Ryder is Aaron's nephew. We're all like family here.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, we decided to break away from Las Vegas and move up to Portland and see what the trees looked like instead of living in the desert. So
I love it up there.
Hey, man, honestly, I've been listening to your show, good geez, since we lived in Vegas. We've been up here for going on 2 years now. And I just wanted to talk to you, man. Like, our thing with our show, I don't have a list of questions for you, really. I mean, I did write down some stuff, but I just wanted to get to know you because, you know, we're in the same world. And I really love what you're doing with your show, brother. It's fucking amazing. Like the breadth of guests and the topics that you cover are so varied and awesome.
Thanks, man. I mean, I really just try to go after what I think is interesting or the researchers that I think have interesting stuff to present and then largely stay out of their way or just bring them back to the most interesting points of their work, at least from my perspective. And, you know, it's not about crafting a singular narrative either. Sometimes people come down on me really hard about one show or another and like, the show has changed. It's a psyop now. And it's like, look, dude, I'm just finding alternative people, letting them make their case. If we have 5 guests who make the case that Crowley was a Satanist child fucker, well, maybe that we have one guy who says, you know, actually that's overblown. And Crowley was just an explorer of the esoteric and maybe an egomaniac, but not necessarily the worst person on the planet. And, you know, like, let's let ideas fight themselves out in the ring, you know, and see what reigns supreme. It's just like, maybe we have been wrong about Crowley, maybe not, but like, let's hear from a guy who thinks we have. Like, let's let the ideas speak for themselves. It's kind of weird that people think that there should be a singular narrative to all episodes and they should all lead you to one point. I mean, that's what CNN does. That's what MSNBC and Fox News do. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Right. What was how long have you been at it?
Probably like 7 years, I would say.
Damn, man.
Maybe 8.
And
I try to count it with like 2018 is 8 years, 2019, 9 years. It's easier for me to remember.
Right. Like, what was the impetus of the show for you? Like, when you first started Higherside Chats, what were you like setting out to do?
Well, really, I was setting out to just free myself from the shackles of a shitty job that didn't pay well. I mean, I kind of boxed myself into retail management. I had worked at Sunglass Hut, Express. I had managed a Great American Cookies, and finally I was managing a GameStop. And you know, when your resume is corporate retail management, there's really nowhere to pivot. And corporate retail management is a bottomless pit that it's never going to pay you enough to really survive. So I always wanted to do something in entertainment or be my own boss. I mean, whatever. I thought it was going to be stand-up comedy for a while. And then I realized, you know, hey, man, you're 30. You should have started this 20 years ago, 10 years ago. You know, it's way too late in the game. And so I just was like, well, podcasting is pretty new, and I really like Coast to Coast AM and Alex Jones, but I don't think either one of them does it 100%, but these are the best platforms at the time. So it started with comedians, and eventually I got it right, interviewing researchers. And at that point, I just called the show Boulder Coast to Coast, hosted by a more mellow Alex Jones. Like, I'm trying to go deeper than Coast to Coast goes, and I'm trying to be a little calmer than that crazy Alex Jones dude. And the rest is history.
Man, I mean, when you look at like the list of guests that you've had on the show, it's fucking amazing. And like you said, like you'll have like a guy that talks about the alien agenda, and then the next week it's about magic, and the week after that it's about fixing your gut biome. And is that all stuff that like in your personal life you're into and finding out about, or are you just looking for the hot button topics on what's going on in the conspiracy world?
I would say it's a little bit of a blend of both. Also, another factor now is that I'm on the radar of a lot of publishers. So a lot of publishers just send me the books that are coming out that are kind of related to the stuff we talk about. So those are nice too, because then I don't have to do a lot of digging and work. It's like half done for me. And a lot of times
cool.
You go, yeah. And like if you dig into a guest, you're like, oh, I've spent 6 hours digesting this guy's work. I'd love to have him on the show. And then he doesn't get back to you. Kind of feels like wasted time to a degree. So, when a publisher gets at you, you're like, oh, I know I can get this guy. So when I read his book and it's not, there's nothing to guess about, I know it's going to kind of flow right. But I mean, yeah, there are things that I'm interested in, and some of it is trendy. I remember Jade Helm was a big buzzword, and yeah, I went down that rabbit hole a little bit, but looking back, it's like I'm actually going to try to not do that as much, or not do that again, because I think sometimes conspiracy shows get caught in a cycle of like, what's the trend? And then they blow it up and make it seem like the end of the world is coming, and then it turns to be basically nothing. So like that happens. I'll admit it's happened for me too, but I try to always be like, look, this is just what some people are saying. So you don't have to think it's the end of the world. I'm not telling you it's the end of the world, but I'm telling you to keep an eye on it.
Right.
And
yeah.
That's kind of the best approach, I guess.
Well, I guess like for me, I don't know. I'm into psychedelics, and we're deadheads and all that, and conspiracy and that world go hand in hand. Like when you start opening up your mind to other options other than default reality, that stuff is out there, and you can start going down the rabbit hole. And I don't know, personally for me, like I've found I have to be careful how much I digest because I start driving myself fucking crazy.
Yeah.
He'll drive us crazy too.
He does,
And
man.
yeah, I drive them nuts too. But do you find that like it starts taking over for you? Because I can't imagine doing a show solely on all that stuff. I would say there was a time where it did. Maybe back in the early college years, it was like a real obsession. And now I guess I just think of it as like a lot of people, I would say, pay attention to conventional politics and conventional world events, and they don't obsess over it. It's just a pillar of what they do throughout their day. It's what they try to stay abreast on. And I would say what I do isn't much different. It's just the real story, or what I think is closer to the real story than mainstream politics. So I cover it, I check in on it. But I think if you get obsessed with it, then it's almost like it starts to become a negative in your life, or it can be. I've seen people go down to the degree of like walking away from a mortgage, or just saying, because fractional reserve banking is such a scam, I'm going to extract myself from the system entirely. And some people do that, and it does work out, but it's also a very tough road to go down because the whole world is the system. So if you're out of it, you're going to cut yourself off from friends and family. You're going to cut yourself off from experiences because you can't go out to a brunch with a bunch of friends. Like, it's a massive sacrifice, and it may be the right one to make. Hey, to each their own. Yeah.
But I definitely try not to get obsessed with it. People often ask me, well, is it depressing to you? I'm like, no, what's depressing is standing next to a goddamn cash register for 9 hours a day.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Like, I'm fine now.
Yeah, man, that's what we're doing here too. Like, I currently am still in the world, in that whole scene of corporate America, and being 46 years old, like I never really knew what I wanted to do with my life. I'm a creative person. I play music, I draw, I write, all this stuff, but I'd never gotten to the point where I could put it all together and make it work. And when we started doing this show, like I was like, oh shit, I'm finally figuring out what I want to do with my life. And I had seen people doing it like you and Rogan and Duncan, and seeing that it's possible, but I don't know. There's a weird thing in my head, at least, where I was like, well, who am I to say anything? Who's going to listen to me? And then
I have that same attitude, and that's why my name is not in the name of my name is not in the title of the show, and my show is like 80% about the guests, because I was like, who cares about this college dropout who wants to get out of retail management?
Right
Let's put these people up on a pedestal.
Totally. And
That's really cool. I love your attitude about that, because that's like a fuck you to the to that world out there. Like, you know what? I don't need to have my name in lights, but I can still enjoy everything else that comes along with it.
Right. And it's just, I was always trying to think, like, if I want to have success, let's look at this from the perspective of a listener, because I was a listener for the last several years before the show started of all this kind of media. And I just thought, what are they doing wrong? Well, so many hosts just talk about themselves, and, they try to bring the guest's work to their worldview rather than let the guest describe their own worldview. And I just always hated that, because I was like, I want to hear, like, I'm trying to listen to what Graham Hancock has to say, George Norrie. Stop bringing it back to angels and God. Like, I just don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own thing, but it's like, don't make it about your thing. Let them get onto their own thing.
yeah, that was one of the things that attracted me to your show as opposed to other podcasts, was that, and I said this to Apple today or yesterday, I was like,
Last night,
yeah,
we were listening to
when you listen to him and you do interviews, like, you just let the guest go. You're not really commenting. Like, you'll let the guest go on this huge diatribe about how lizard people are controlling the government, and then when they're done making their point, you're like, yeah, so anyway, and blah blah blah. And I appreciate that as a listener to the show. Like, you're not injecting your viewpoint into that person's perspective.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I obviously don't know, and I obviously think these things are interesting, or they wouldn't be on my show. And the end of the show is when I have all the time in the world to talk about how I feel about the episode that just came. But I'm not going to use the 2 hours where the guest is on the line with me to tell them how I feel. Like, it's just a waste of their time sometimes. So that's, I'm glad you like that aspect.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most attractive things about the show. And also, like I said, the not disparity, but the variety of guests that you get is really cool. And I wonder, like, at least for me, after starting doing this show, like, my goal in doing this was digging into the psychedelic experience and music. And like, it had made such an impact on my life and who I am. And there's a lot in that world. You know what I mean? There's a lot to that space. And some of it is really hard to figure out and articulate. Yeah, thank you. Now. And by talking to all these people and doing interviews and whatever, I'm starting to, like, get a clearer picture of what happened to me personally in the past. You know what I'm saying? So, like, over all the time of doing your thing, has a clearer picture of what's going on out there started happening for you?
Man, it's really like, it happens in levels, because sometimes you think that you got a handle on something, and then you pull on a different thread and you're like, whoa, maybe I was wrong. And I do think that you end up less sure than more sure on a lot of things. And that goes to that old saying that a smart man knows he knows nothing and a fool thinks they know everything. It's like, the more you learn, the more you realize, wow, there's a lot of nuance here, and I might not be able to unpack it all, but you just go with the thread that feels right. And that's interesting. You guys are about music and psychedelics, because that also was majorly impactful in me. I was never into the Dead necessarily, but psychedelics for sure. And you learn that there's some sketchy stuff going on there, potentially, with Gordon Wasson and maybe some connections to the CIA. And, some researchers go down that and they say, okay, because the CIA has been involved in psychedelics, because the CIA might have used certain musical groups to inject psychedelics into a subculture, that means they have no value. And that is where I get off, because I think they're wrong. I think the CIA has used these things as tools, but I think when they didn't work out the way they wanted them to, they pulled the plug. And that's why they're illegal today after the 60s. So they put it out there to test it. Everybody became anti-authoritarian, anti-war, started protesting. They're like, whoa.
Whoops.
We just wanted you all to be, we just wanted you to rot your brains and sit around drum circles. We didn't want you to actually start caring about the world. Let's reel this back. And so I think that's what happened. So it is interesting that there are some military intelligence ties to that music scene, especially in the 60s era. But I don't think it means the whole thing is valueless.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a interview with Jerry Garcia from back in the day, and it was him and Ken Kesey, and they're not shy about saying that they were involved in government experiments. They never lied about that or said, hey, we weren't involved. But Garcia said, yeah, the government asked us to go in and look at this room. And we went in and looked in the room and came out and told them what was in there. And when we came out, they said, don't let anybody else in that room. You know, yeah. And so I don't think there's a question of if it was if it really happened or any of that. I think that for sure, like you said, that the CIA was involved and whatnot. I think it's exactly what you said, though, that once they realized that they had opened like a Pandora's box, and it's like the thing that they were looking to use as a control mechanism became the thing that was actually freeing people's minds. They're like, oh shit, now we need to make this shit illegal.
I 100% agree. And it's also like, when certain researchers are trying to analyze, is a person dirty or did they have good intentions? You know, one of the most classic issues I've had on THC is with Jan Irvin. We got into a fight about Terrence McKenna because he thinks Terrence McKenna is an agent because of something he said jokingly to a crowd. Terrence McKenna joked all the time. So yeah. I think you need a little more evidence than that. Show me a pay stub with his name on it that says paid by the CIA, something more than a joke, for Christ's sake. But the point is, even if a person like even Gordon Wasson, let's say, he's a lot more connected, I never discount the power of psychedelics. A person can be an agent built from the ground up to work for the CIA to subvert culture and deceive people, and they take mushrooms one time and maybe their whole worldview changes. And now they realize they didn't want to be doing that. You know, I just think psychedelics are so fucking powerful that even the worst people, sometimes, potentially, when they take them, they'll look at their lives and be like, oh my God, I've been working for the wrong team. You know, I'm on team people now. Mm-hmm. And maybe they try to inject some knowledge into the deception. I mean, I don't know. It's a tangled web, and you can't fault a person for not wanting to put their life on the line, or if they're going down a certain road, not being able to get off of it. But maybe there is some wisdom, or maybe they're trying to do the best they can. Psychedelics are just so powerful that I never discount anyone as being totally a shill if they're involved in that culture and taking them regularly.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, obviously you've done it, and I think that narrative talking about like, well, you know, the Grateful Dead was, you know, a social engineering platform for LSD or whatever, that comes from people that have never done it. Like because I know personally, if I look at it from the outside, sure, it can fucking look like that. You know what I mean? I can totally see how you could fit those pieces together and make that thing look like that. But I'll tell you what, when you're on the inside of it and you're there, there's no fucking way, man.
But what if it's both? That's what I think. You know, because we have these different timelines in time and space. Like, what if it is a freaking operation for the people that were in the CIA a long time ago, wiggled their way in and their influence after maybe taking these psychedelics and plotted the Grateful Dead in there to be loving and peaceful. And that's like, we've got the you know, yin CIA agents and the yang CIA agents working at the same time.
Yeah, it's very much possible. Like the name of the show says, there is no simple road.
Yes. Yeah. But so,
Cheers
Greg,
to that.
I just want to know, like, how you said that they're so powerful. So how did you feel that power in your experiences with psychedelics?
Well, I would say that marijuana obviously is what we all get into first, and that definitely opened some doors. And then I really got into, from comedy, guys like Bill Hicks and George Carlin, and they made references to doing mushrooms and gaining more insight. So I was like, well, I love what these guys are saying. They're blowing my mind all the time, so maybe I'll try that out. And mushrooms were great. It's after that I felt like I cannot work in the corporate world for some boss. I can't do it. I'm going to have to find another path, and that's a scary place to be when you don't have that path forged out yet. But Salvia, the day I did Salvia, I woke up that day and I was a material atheist. I thought when you die, and that's it. I did Salvia, and I came back completely changed. I was transported. I communicated with entities. I was definitely out of body and felt like it was the natural state. I was like, oh, this isn't that weird. I've done this before. And, maybe that's all in your head, but the feelings are the feelings, and I got to go with them. I mean, it was very potent. There was no question about how I was feeling. And so that's a pretty mind-blowing thing for Salvia to open that gateway. I mean, that's a huge paradigm change in a person's life. And then later I did LSD only once, and we were in Big Sur on a bus doing a tour for a movie that was out, and I was up later than anyone trying to come down from this stuff, and I focused on a particular star in the night sky as so I could keep the room from spinning and everything. And I ended up having this weird mind-to-mind connection with this star, where the star showed me a preview of its whole life cycle.
Holy
and planets
shit.
rising and falling and civilizations. It's like, oh, there was a civilization here for a few thousand years, then it went away, and then I burned a little brighter, and then I had this thing come over, and it was like, just in a matter of minutes. And then I kind of did the same thing, like explain my life, and this star was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I've always wondered what chocolate tastes like and what sex is like, and so that's pretty cool. And it was just a weird thing, because I was like down to this star, I'm like, oh, you don't care about what a regular life is like. No, I do care, and I do think it's all about scale. I think consciousness permeates out of everything, and there's definitely a scale to things. Yeah, we're superior to insects, but if you could communicate with an insect, wouldn't you be interested to hear what its life was like? I mean,
Hell yeah.
that's kind of, I think, a weird thing to talk about, but I felt like I had that connection with this star, and it's kind of what the ancients were doing, really, is tripping out and communicating with the stars. So I mean, psychedelics have done amazing things for me. They've all pivoted me away from conventional reality at a really important time, in an important way. Ecstasy isn't really a psychedelic, but if it wasn't for ecstasy, I wouldn't probably be married to the woman I'm married to. So all these compounds, I think, have unequivocally helped my life, and it's created the situation where I have the career and the life partner I have and the worldview I have, and there's really nothing else I can look at to thank as much as psychedelic compounds. It's just the way it is.
Wow. That's pretty strong, man.
You definitely described the power of the psychedelics, and that is a huge stamp at the end of a freaking sentence, man.
You talked about MDMA, ecstasy, and your partner and you. Like, for Melanie and I, and I've said this, I think I might have said this on the show before, like, we've been married for 20 years, and without MDMA, I don't think we would be where we're at right now, interpersonally. I know we wouldn't.
For us, I think initially, first it was cannabis. Cannabis literally healed our relationship that was hanging on by a thread at one point. And after cannabis, like, it was funny. We all say, laugh mockingly, pot is not a gateway drug, but it kind of is. And if you think about it, it kind of opens up.
It's a gateway to better things.
Yeah. Who cares where the gate is?
I like doorway. You said doorway earlier, and I think doorway's better.
Yeah, whatever it is, but it definitely softens you up from that exterior shell and makes you realize, oh, there's other things more than this. It took the chip off of my shoulder in order for me to communicate. You said something interesting too, like stars communicating with stars, and I think that's what we're doing right this very second. you know, like getting a peek into your world and hearing about the amazing transformations that you've made in your life in order to bring these amazing stories, which we all love to hear from other stars all around the world about what's going on in their life. That's pretty awesome, man. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed after starting the show, we've been at it for almost a year, and I've noticed that it's like transforming all of us. Like by doing this thing and putting ourselves out there in the way that we are, and, you know, saying, yes, we're for psychedelics, and we talk about it openly on the show. Like, we'll go to a concert and take psychedelics and then come report back afterwards. That's kind of one of the things that we do about our night. And, you know, at first it was fucking scary, Greg. Like I put out the first episode and I'm at the grocery store afterwards and I'm like having an anxiety attack. Like, holy shit, it's out there. Like
Sharing myself.
People are in my life. And now, like I said, it's been almost a year and it's growing and it's a presence. This thing is a presence in our lives, and it's changing all of us. And
we live more openly, honestly, and healthy because of this.
Yeah. And I'm curious, man. I was thinking about it last night as I was like kind of falling asleep. Doing the type of show that you do, you're open to a lot of different viewpoints and energy and all of that. Like, I don't know, just as an example, I think it was your show. There was one guy that was like talking about like witchcraft and the language of witchcraft in music. And then, you know, 2 days later, you're talking about the gut biome. And then, like, you know, there's a lot of different stuff coming into your world. Like, have you noticed weird shit happening behind the show? Like, you get strange emails from people or anything like that?
Well, I do get strange emails, no doubt. But I actually feel like, for the most part, I've been pretty undisturbed. And I know that there's a lot of conspiracy hosts who like to kind of build drama or suspense or excitement by kind of playing up this idea that they're being messed with, or they can't get their phone connection to work right. And it's not because they don't have a high enough tier internet, it's because the CIA is tapping their line. It's like, come on. Sometimes it's just ridiculous. And I don't ever like to play that card. I have had DDoS attacks. I have had some things happen to the website and the server. When I was on Chris Jericho, the wrestler's show, right after that, I was going to Armenia with Graham Hancock, and so I'm out of the country. I'm in a place where I don't really have signal, and I'm getting these messages, hey, your website's down. I'm like, this is the worst thing in the world. I just did the biggest media appearance I've ever done. I'm out of the country for 2 weeks, and my website's down. So things like that have sucked, but nothing's ever really completely derailed me. I've never really gotten anything that sounded like a threat in any regard.
Yeah.
So I'm not super concerned. And
good.
The only thing that's going on right now, of course, it's happening to a lot of people, is YouTube. YouTube has decided that they want to censor voices that are talking about conspiratorial things, largely about school shootings. So I woke up one day and found that my episode from 3 years ago with Sophia Smallstorm has caused a copyright strike for bullying and harassment.
For what?
I don't know. You tell me who was bullied. Like, let me talk to this bullied and harassed person, and I'll probably work it out with them. But again, there really is no one there that's been bullied. It's just YouTube saying this is how they're labeling it, and they want it gone. And
whoa.
So that's one copyright strike, and then shortly after. And at that point, I knew, okay, the writing's on the wall. I don't even have to upload new shows. There's no way for me to get out of this. I've got an archive you can ban, and then I'm gone. Like, I can't. So it's like, when you have a copyright strike, you would traditionally want to think, okay, well, what can I do differently?
Yeah.
You know, but I knew I didn't have to do anything because the archive was enough to ban me. So again, a second show about Sandy Hook with Wolfgang Halbig, a guy who was actually in charge of school safety protocol on a national level, and a police officer.
I heard the show.
Fair. Yeah, he said something was off with Sandy Hook. That's a guy I'd probably want to listen to. And again, that show got me banned. So now there's 2 copyright strikes, which means you're banned for 2 weeks from uploading new shows. Not the end of the world, but I keep waking up and they'll they'll send me a notification about the same shows that have been banned, and it's like they're pushing the date back further and further, because you can see on there when you're going to be allowed to post again, and then they're flagging the same shows. It pushes it down the line. So the only thing that's really frustrating, because YouTube is a small part of my audience, it's not a big deal, but it is 50,000 subscribers that I can't communicate with. It's not like you can send them an email. It's not like you can in any way say, hey guys, I know you like my show, but let me tell you what's going on. I can't. I've been muted. So unless those people decide to go to the website and find out that there are new episodes up, I can't tell them. And that's frustrating, because some people are attached to a certain platform and they don't go and do that due diligence to find out what's going on. So when the show does come back, I think what I'm going to do is upload things that look like the new episodes, but it's just going to be me talking, saying, hey, there is no episode here. Sorry to bait and switch you, but you're going to have to go to the website, because this is the only way I can tell you. And there aren't going to be new shows here, but they're just going to look like new shows.
What?
And hopefully people will get frustrated into just saying, fuck YouTube altogether.
So there's like nothing that you can do to appeal, or nothing, no recourse on your end as a creator to say, hey, that's bullshit.
Well, there's a button you can press that says appeal, but it doesn't do anything.
What the fuck,
they just
man?
don't get back to you. I mean, I've dealt with this before. When I got kicked out of private school my senior year, they told me, oh, look, you can appeal, and you'll go in front of the board and see if we can get you let back into school. And I worked really, really hard on my presentation and like why I deserve to stay. And before I even got home, driving home from school, I'm driving home like, oh, that went really well. Before I even get home, my mom calls my cell phone and says, nope, they said you can't come back. So I've learned many times that, yeah, there's an appeal process to an authority just so it's there, but it doesn't do anything. They get what they want, and they want me gone in both cases, and here we are.
It's crazy that, I mean, I don't know if that's an algorithm that's pulling those shows or if it's a person, but it seems that it's funny that they're both kind of the same topic. And and I just don't understand how that can be construed as bullying. It doesn't even make sense. It's like I'm presenting an alternative viewpoint to the mainstream narrative, and that's it. Like, how does that single anybody out for anything? Right. It doesn't. It's fucking bullshit. Well,
it is bullshit, but their argument would be that it's mean towards the people who lost children in the event, if that actually happened. From their paradigm, it did happen, and I'm harassing the parents who lost children, which is no one wants to do that. That would be a really shitty thing to do. But I would say, because this happens all the time, conspiracy is largely about death. Whether it's mass death, individual celebrities, whatever it is, a lot of it is about death and why the death occurred. So we have to explore these things and communicate about them. And the system is always going to tell you that that's disrespectful, and I completely disagree. If I die in any way, shape, or form, I want you to dig deeper. I don't care. Maybe I die of a heart attack and it really was a heart attack. That's fine. I'm not going to be offended from the grave that you looked into it. It's like I'm going to be offended if I die in a mysterious car accident in 2 weeks and no one ever looks into it at all. That's when I'm offended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a weird twisting of language, but they do it to us all the time.
Yeah. I mean, and that's some of the negatives that have come out of doing what you do, but like you've had a ton of positive shit happen. Like recently I saw you doing live stuff with Sam Tripoli, right?
Yeah. I have had one hell of a ride from this show. It's definitely been somewhat of a lottery ticket for like everything I would want in life, and I'm completely fulfilled, and I've gotten to really kind of act out some of those stand-up comedy dreams by working with Sam, because Sam Tripoli, prominent comedian, I've known of him for a long time. I was a fan. I'd go and pay to see him in LA. A few years later, he's calling me up to have me on his podcast, and now we're doing live shows. And I did stand up at one of those live shows. It was fine, got some laughs. I mean, it's too late for that. It takes years to become seasoned as a comedian, but it was fun to play around with it and kind of live that out a little bit and kind of jump forward to a place where you actually, I mean, how many people on their second or third time ever on a comedy stage are selling tickets for people to come see them. You know, that's rare.
Yeah.
Usually you're doing it for years and years and no one gives a shit at all. So it was kind of fun to like see this is how that life maybe could have gone. But I'm actually very fortunate that I'm doing podcasting because I want my weekends. I want my Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to give up for the stand-up comedian.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment, and I know what you mean about wanting your Friday and Saturday nights, man. Like as this thing grows and becomes more, like we're doing interviews several times a week, and you know, it's just an hour. You know, it's not a big deal, but there's more to it that goes into it. You got to edit the show, you got to put it together, you got to upload it, you got to be on the social media shit, you got to do all that. Like, how has like personally, how do you balance the show and your personal life, man? Just from one like dude that's doing this to another guy, like that's the thing that I'm having a hard time with.
Yeah, it can definitely be a lot. I guess a big part of it is just being efficient and having some kind of system. When I'm not doing the show or researching for the show, like the friends I hang out with on a daily, weekly basis, I mean, they are not into this stuff very much.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really not. They're really not. I'm the crazy conspiracy guy in the group. And, you know, sometimes me and the guys will have a few beers and they'll say, you know, the system really is fucked. I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. You know, so they know, but they apologize. They're like, hey man, I'm sorry I haven't listened to your show. I go, dude, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. I don't want to talk about, I just want to have a good time, you know? Because I feel like if I'm talking about it, it really is all related to work somewhat. And it's all just, it can be an obsession. So I try to compartmentalize fun from conspiracy, because if they've got you stressed out and paranoid and not enjoying your life, then they've won and they don't even know your name. So,
Whoa.
you know.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Shit.
We need a moment of silence.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and digest that for a second. Yeah, when you're doing what you do, like you start doing it and you're doing your thing and it starts growing, getting bigger and bigger. And I know for myself, like I've had a few guests on the show where I'm like, oh shit, this is surreal. Like I'm talking to these people that I've been looking up to. Like these are my heroes that I'm talking to. Is there anybody that you've had on the show that like you were nervous and tripping out before? Like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to talk to this guy.
Well, that happens quite a bit. And, you know, the thing is, the more you digest of a person's work, sometimes the more they feel like a celebrity. So sometimes, like, reading the book and listening to 6 other interviews before I interview someone makes me more nervous, because now I'm like, whoa. Because you just listen to a person and then you feel like they kind of get in that entertainment celebrity type of mindset from your perspective. And it happens all the time where I will interview someone who is highly educated, has written 6 or 7 books on a subject, and I just feel completely inadequate, you know, like unaccomplished by comparison. Because I just respect people who've been able to really forge an expertise like a Joseph Farrell. Or another one that pops to mind is Dr. Stephen Skinner. I mean, he's decoded and translated old grimoires like more than anyone. I mean, that's a contribution to history. Like, no one else has done that. I think that's a huge deal, and no one's even paying attention to it.
Right?
You know, no one even cares. But when I interviewed him, I'm just like, dude, I couldn't imagine if my life depended on it translating the Hygromantia. Like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. So it's just like, I really, really respect it. And I go overboard because I'm like, on behalf of all the people who don't even know what the hell you're doing, like, congratulations on the success. Like, I don't know. So I definitely have those moments where I get a little nervous and I feel like these people are heroes, kind of unappreciated heroes.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to get nervous talking to some of these people because they are very smart. And that's what's kind of the catch-22 about conspiracy is everybody thinks these people are ignorant and painting with a broad brush, and we're going into 2 hours of serious detail on some of these stuff. It's not because there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah. We're not making this shit up as we go along. Like,
right.
Yeah. One of the things that we talked about at the very beginning of this was, you know, in our house, I'm the conspiracy nut guy, and luckily, like everybody here, I have that balance. Kind of like you said, your friends aren't really into it, and like Apple, for instance, when I'll talk to him about conspiracy theories, he'll listen to me, and then at the end, he'll be like, "Yeah, but so what? What does it matter? What it doesn't."
Well, and his story, they usually start with something. All of us could attest to this. Okay, I had this crazy nightmare last night, man. There was these things coming to get me, and it's like, yeah, you get a little too deep sometimes, man.
Yeah, but like, my point is like, that's like two ends of the spectrum, you know? Hey, what does it matter? I still gotta take a shit and go to work, and I still gotta, eat and do my thing. Like, what is the hope of getting the information out there in your mind?
Well, I guess I used to have this really grandiose fantasy that once people were educated, we would change things. And I just don't know, man. You can't make people go down a journey they don't want to go down, or everybody has their own path and their own level of awareness, and you kind of need to respect that. If someone is in ignorance, that's their path, and you really can't do much about it. So I guess I just want to enjoy life. Like, take chemtrails, for example, or just geoengineering, to use a less polarizing term. It is happening. I want to know about it. I feel like I'm better off knowing the truth. But what am I going to do about it? I can't really do anything. Stay inside all day. Like, it's everywhere.
Right.
So in some situations, you aren't going to be able to fix it. But I still think being knowledgeable is better than being ignorant. And I guess a lot of times you're just kind of coming to terms with the situation. And, my buddy Gordon White, who runs Rune Soup, he wrote a book called The Chaos Protocols, which is one of my favorites I've read for the show. And it's largely a template for what to do in these chaotic times, in these conspiratorial times, how to cope with all the things going on when you can't change them. And he uses the term become invincible. Become invincible. All you have to do is realize that this life isn't your only life, and that it doesn't end when this reality ends, because you're not going to reel back the conspiracies like they're happening. You're not going to stop vaccines and GMOs and geoengineering. All you can do is kind of rise above it and be like, well, that's the game I'm playing now. But if you've taken the right dose of psychedelics, if you've done the right meditation practices, that there's more after this. There's life after life. And that's really all you can do, is become invincible. Like, you can't hurt me because I know that I'm going on.
Yeah, you take yourself out of the game.
Approach.
Yeah, you're taking yourself out of the game. And I guess my thing is, like, I want to know about all of it, man. I want to know about all of it so that I have the information and can make choices. And not to be paranoid. Like you said, I don't want to fucking stay in the house all day. I want to be able to go to a concert and not worry about shit. I want to be able to go camping and hang out with my family and do the shit we do. But I do want to know if they're spraying shit on our crops. I do want to know if glyphosate is out there and how to avoid it if I can. I want to know about A2 milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You brought up, we were listening yesterday to that show about the gut biome. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we struggle with in our house with our family is the allergies really bad. And you said that you had that problem.
Absolutely.
Will you tell Apple about that?
Yeah, I've had bad allergies for years, just bad sinus issues, and I'm sure it's exacerbated by my diet, by weed smoking. Sometimes after a joint, I'm like, I can just tell, like, oh, that didn't help.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm going to stop. So I had this guy, John Brisson, on, who is he's been through the ringer. His family has definitely felt the brunt of the medical machine. And because of that, he's been inspired to dig to its deepest depths and really become a master of alternative medicine, or food as medicine, and just the way the system works, and the gut biome, which is largely where a lot of our problems are, and we really aren't told much about that at all. And, after that interview was over, John was like, hey, man, let me give you my survey, and we'll try to find a cause for your allergies. And he did. He asked me series of questions, 20, 30 questions about my allergies, when it flares up, when it doesn't, because there are different causes to different things. And he said, okay, I think I got a protocol for you. I want you to buy this, and this. And he sent me the links on Amazon. One of them was magnesium malate. It's a pill. One was, the main one is vitamin C powder, like very strong vitamin C powder, more than you're going to get from fruit. So you mix the powder into some juice, cherry juice, orange juice, whatever. You take your pills, and I did it for maybe 3 days, and the next day I woke up and I had no allergies, and they were gone for like maybe 10, 15 days straight, which is keeping up with this. And I didn't really do much else. And now I have swings up and down where it gets better, it gets worse, but it's definitely better than it's ever been when I stick to what John had me do. And if you go to that episode, which would be the second time I had John on, which was just like a couple of weeks ago, probably the one you just listened to.
Yeah.
If you look at the show notes, I included exactly the links to what he told me to buy.
Cool.
And, granted, everybody is separate and different, and maybe your causes are not the same as my causes, but I would at least try it, because for $30 to get 4 different items,
And it can change you.
Maybe change your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you say that you would thank the guy. You were like, "Hey man, thanks for helping me fucking change my life."
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And
It is.
like I said earlier, doing the show, we've seen this thing happening to all of us, and listening to your show, I've noticed you dropping little hints here and there that you've gotten into magic. Is that true?
It's somewhat true. I would say I still have an outsider's perspective. I don't want to be some poser who's like, "Oh yeah, I'm really into magic." Like, honestly, I just feel like I understand the concepts of it a lot more. And there have been times where I've attempted ritual. I've read some ancient grimoires, and I find it fascinating. But the problem is like magic is really, really hard. People say,
Shit.
"Well, if it worked, everybody'd be doing it." No, that's not true. So many things work that people don't do. Exercise works. People don't fucking do it.
Right.
Like, there are many ways to improve your life that people are too lazy to do. And magic, I'm fully convinced, is one of them. And if you read the grimoires, you need elaborate tools. Now, some people will say ceremonial magic is kind of a lot of theatrics that isn't necessary for the ritual to work. That's its own thing. But let's just say if you're going to do magic the way it's described in the grimoires, it's very difficult. You need to, because objects carry energy. So when they say you need to get a knife with a sufficient story, it needs to have some kind of energetic potency to it. Well, how do I get that in the modern world when everything is made on an assembly line? How do I find something that has energy or a story behind it? It's difficult just to gather the tools. Then you have to learn the words, which are largely Latin or foreign. Like the names are completely not the kind of things that roll off the tongue. And then in some cases, you make the magical circle. You try to call an entity, and in the grimoires, it'll say that they did this like 8 hours a night for 3 or 4 nights before they made contact. Who's doing that in 2018?
No, man,
You know what I'm saying?
I want that shit now.
So it's like, don't tell me it doesn't work unless you're going to do it. And when Dr. Steven Skinner was on, he equated it to chemistry. Like, it is a science. Nobody's doing chemistry in their backyard because it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
You're going to get all this stuff. Like, magic is the same way. It just has a different result. Instead of mixing chemicals together to get something more useful, you're connecting with a spirit entity to get some kind of maybe insight or partnership or something. And I don't think it all has to be negative. It very much can be, but I don't think magic is evil. I think just in today's world, only evil people are the ones really utilizing it.
Yeah, fucking rain can be evil in the right situation. Shit,
Yeah.
Yep.
Water can facilitate or end your life pretty quickly.
Totally. And what you're saying, like, I've studied magic, and I'm no grand wizard or anything, but like I've been into magic since 2004, and what you're saying, you like hit the nail on the head. It's so fucking hard. It's so convoluted and contrived and involved that it makes it unapproachable almost to just the nth degree. And I recently read, you know who Jason Louv is?
Oh yeah, he's an upcoming guest.
Yeah, Jason wrote a book called The Psychic Bible, and this is just a recommendation for you personally, if you're interested in magic and you want it like broken down in really clear, concise, easy to understand terms, and with techniques and things that you can use that apply to living in today's world as opposed to Elizabethan era stuff, that's the book. Like, Genesis Peorage broke it down in such a really clear, cool way. And for me, like I said, I've been on and off into it for a long time. That book is changing the way that I look at magic completely, and
that's awesome.
and making it more personal for me. So that's just something you could check out. And Jason's awesome, man. Like, you're gonna have a blast talking to him.
Well, I know he has his newest book is on John Dee specifically, and I think that's going to be the main topic of conversation. But I heard him on Rune Soup with Gordon White, and it was a really fascinating conversation. I'm psyched to have that insight and then be able to have my own conversation with him and have him dig deeper on a few of the things he said where I was like, oh my God, like, wow. So yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a good guest. And another point about magic is so much of it is not only difficulty in the way I describe it, also timing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why our calendar is messed up. Our calendar was created by authorities to kind of put us off the equilibrium or the rhythm of the natural world, I would say, because a lot of it has to do with the equinox and the solstice and the lunar calendar. And so if you really want to do your magic right, you need to learn about astrology. You need to learn about basically the path of the moon. You need to learn about the energies associated with these things. And then you need to look up like a lunarium. You need to look up like a farmer's almanac and where the moon phases are and what energies are in the sky. And then you need to like map out your life according to that. And that I think really will help. But again, it's very difficult. Like every time I start a new month, I'm like, okay, when I book my shows this month, I'm going to look on the calendar. Is Mercury in retrograde?
Whoa.
Is this going on? Like, because if you can have better interviews, you can literally have a better conversation by knowing when to have it. And that's very strange. People think that's, bullshit, but I've seen it happen. So that's just another element of it, the timing. And to even know the right timing, you need so much context about the planets and their energies and all that stuff. And also which entities are associated with which hours, because I think maybe the spirit world is another dimension and its overlay with ours happens at specific moments and specific geographical locations. And I don't think it's easy for these energies or these spirits to like even penetrate our world. And so when we call them, that you have to call them right and at the right time for them to even be able to muster up a presence. And that's kind of how I interpret it.
Well, yeah, I have to know your phone number and you have to be holding your cell phone for me to get a hold of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it's sitting in the bathroom under the counter and you're in the shower, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's a trip, man. I never even thought of that. Like applying it to doing what we're doing. That never even crossed my mind.
Well, it seems like we picked a good time to interview you this morning.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like when we talked to John Kadlacek, he was talking about Raja Yoga and Raga. And they would sing their songs and do their mantras at certain times of the day because they found that those things worked better at certain times, and there was certain mantras for certain hours of the day. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it stands to reason that that's a real thing. And I mean, I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make is just because it's not a clearly visible thing, you can't see it with your eyes, that they discount it and think it's not real.
We see with our eyes, we discount sometimes.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah. So, Greg, what's the, like, if you had a magic wand. What's the goal for Higherside Chats? Like, if you could do anything with the show, what's the thing?
Man, I think about that quite a bit. Obviously, when you're in this position, the easiest path is just growth. Just make the project that you're already doing grow more. And that is one of the biggest challenges, because when you get a larger audience, you start hearing more feedback, and then you have a hard time really rationalizing, okay, this piece of feedback, does it represent one person, 100 people, 1,000 people? How many people feel this way? So it gets harder the more you grow, I think, because you just have so many people throwing things at you, and you're trying to just keep doing what you're doing. But I've had a few TV producers contact me about the potential for doing some kind of show. And obviously, I know there are red flags with that. And I don't think a conspiracy show on traditional media has ever made a person look good. But at the same time, I'm down for the ride, and it's something to knock off the bucket list. So there's potential for that to happen. I don't know. I'm really just seeing what comes, making my sigils, and trying to attract the best stuff I can.
Fuck yeah, man. That's okay. Good answer, brother. Cool. Right on. So before we go, where can everybody find you at?
Well, the website is thehighersidechats.com. Of course, the way I do the show is the first hour is free and out there, and the second hour is for paid subscribers. I try to keep it low. It's $5 to get 5 shows a month that are longer. And I think look, we live in a capitalist society. You have to figure out a way to do it. There's only 2 ways. One is the way I do it. The other way is advertising. And I'm not going to try to ask people to just buy some MeUndies to support me. That has nothing to do with me. That's a totally separate business. Why are we bringing that stuff in? Hey, if you want to support my podcast, go buy some Blue Apron. Like, what does that mean? Or go to LegalZoom. It's just stupid. So I say, if you want to support my show, support my show. And if you support my show, you're going to get twice as much.
Oh my gosh, Greg, thank you so much. I didn't even know that was a question that I had, but you just gave me an answer. Like, I really, 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 like another really, have a hard time with, like, I don't know, taking money from, like, exactly what you said, bullshit that I don't care about, that has nothing to do with my life. Like, if you like us, then, like you said, then support us. Like, I don't need you to go to Chili's and, like, get a 20% off coupon. Like, what are we really seeing from that? We're putting ourselves in another corporate environment that we're trying to work ourselves out of. Right. And just, like, we were on the Psychedelic Milk podcast a while back with Ed Liu, and, like, right in the middle of the conversation, he, like, said, okay, so now if you want to listen to the rest of the episode, it's for his Patreon or whatever, sign up. Yeah. And one of maybe a guest or 2 of ours, kind of got a little bit upset about that. Like, what, cut you off right in the middle of a sentence. But I really started to kind of, like, mill it around in my head and really think about that. And I really appreciated it. Like, he's putting out this great information. And if you were so hooked on it, and then you were upset that it stopped, then fucking pay for it. Yeah. Like, listen to it, hear it. Like, so I don't know. I just, like, you saying that just really is, like, directly supporting you, and kudos. Like, how did you even come up with that way of like figuring it out?
That model.
Man, I did a lot of models first. I did the traditional, let's just try to get by on subscriptions, try to get by on donations. And then I did something a little funky that I haven't really seen anyone else do, which was, I started doing something I called the money bomb, where I would take half the donations I got and gift that back to one random listener. And so, people are sending me $5 here, $5 there, amongst thousands of people. On a monthly basis, I was giving away hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to one listener. And then I would have them talk for a few minutes on the show about what they were going to use the money for. Whoa. Some people are paying off student loans. Some people are making their kid happy for their birthday when they didn't know what they were going to do. And it was just really badass. But then I just thought, this is kind of like an internet raffle, and I don't want to get in trouble with the gaming commission or this or that. So I nixed that, even though I really did love it in principle. I just think it could attract unwanted attention. And now I just do the sign up model. I'm not the first one to do it, so it was out there, but I just think it's the best way for our situation. It's like you donate $5, you get twice as much show of the exact show that you're wanting to hear. So you don't have to involve anyone else. And it's like we all get paid for our work. You know, a lot of people say it's kind of bullshit that you're making money off conspiracy. And it's like, is it better that I was making money off GameStop and selling addictive electronics to children? Is that better?
Oh, shit.
You know, like we're all paying our rent somehow. I am very comfortable with the way I pay my rent now by presenting people with information that I think is valuable.
As you should be, man. Yeah. And I'll tell you, if you think about it, I've had a hard time reconciling the whole thing in my head too. Like still to this day feel kind of funny about like doing a Patreon rap and all that, but I understand intellectually that it's necessary to do what we do and to get where we want to go, and we do live in a capitalist society and it's the way things are. I get it. But you just said that and I was thinking like, you know what, he's fucking right. Like people will pay $10 a month for Netflix and fill their head with trash. Why not pay $5 a month and get something that is gonna entertain you on more than one level? I don't know. Yeah. Thank you for that, man. And from all of us, seriously, brother, thanks for what you do, because I know I get fed from it. You know, when I'm sitting in at work at my fucking keyboard at the cubicle, like you help me come out and you remind me of what I'm doing and you remind me of the mission that I'm on and the overarching goal, and you help me to like fill my day and my head with something other than where I'm at. And thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Right on. Glad to be of assistance. Thanks for listening, and thanks for having me here today.
Yeah.
And I got to add too, like Aaron said, I don't listen to a lot. My mind's open to all the conspiracy stuff, but like you kind of mentioned, a lot of the shows with yours, I appreciate. First of all, you got a great voice. You're engaging. You're kind of hyper, but not too much about the subjects. You can tell you're seriously interested. The way you present it, like Aaron said, with the questions and like, okay, on to the next thing. You're just very approachable for somebody like me that sometimes is like, Aaron, I don't want to listen to that show or something. So I'm a newbie to your show, and I'm going to go back and listen to a lot, and especially like the doctor one with the allergies stuff. I mean, you just seem to be presenting stuff that is very helpful, and you don't have any weird spin or anything on it, and you're very excited about it. So thank you from me.
Right on. I appreciate that.
All right, Greg, we'll let you get to your day. I know that you got plans this afternoon, brother. And
Yes.
I just thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we'll let you know when it's going to drop and all that. And I'll have links to all your stuff in the show notes. One last thing I wanted to ask you before we go. I almost forgot. You have some of the fucking coolest designs for your shirts. Where does that come from? Is that you?
Well, I'm not an artist, so I will say that. But the T-shirts, they've gone through a few different phases, but right now it's called the Higherside Clothing. It's another website you can go to, and the shirts now are basically derived from particular episodes. So I'll take an episode that I thought was really interesting, and I've got a few good artists in my Rolodex, and I will contact one of them and say, hey, so we did this episode. Luckily, the two that I've worked with the most recently are fans of the show, so they're listening to these episodes too. So I'll be like, hey, this episode, we talked about the Knights Templar worshiping Baphomet, and that's how they derive their money magic. And so how about we come up with a design where it's the Knights Templar bowing down to Baphomet inside the framework of the dollar bill, you know, that oval framework. And the dude is just amazing. These artists are so great. I mean, I can't even take credit for it because it's not my work necessarily. I'm just coming up with the concept, and they're executing it to really great levels. And so I'm super happy about the art that's on those shirts. I think they are some of the deepest, most, like, there's so many layers to the details in a lot of this art. Some of the stuff I didn't even come up with. Like, for example, there's one about Disney, and it says, we own your imagination. And it's kind of a dark
with Mickey
Mouse thing, spiral, like the hypnotist spirals and stuff. And in there, I was like, hey, how about we put some monarch butterflies? Because that's an element of the whole mind control thing. And not only did he put in butterflies, but in the wings of the butterfly, the colors spell CIA. And I was like, now that's you. That's you. And so
Whoa.
Some of this stuff is amazing. And so I really like the shirts. I try to do everything with quality, even though I don't do a lot, whether it's the show or the shirts. I just wanted to be high quality because the conspiracy world has always had a problem with quality and matching the mainstream quality.
Yeah.
And that's what turns a lot of people off. So I do what I can. Thanks for the the kind words about everything. Obviously, this has been a good time because it's very complimentary to me. So I'm not going to I've had a great time.
Right on, man.
Yeah, so thanks for saying that about the shirts, too.
Yeah, man. All right. Well,
Thanks, Greg,
go
for
enjoy your
coming
day.
on.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
You too, guys.
Have a good day.
We'll talk, man. Take care, brother.
Peace.
That was Greg Carlwood, everybody. Pretty cool. Pretty
Very
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
You know,
guy.
it's a trip when talk to somebody that's passionate about what they do like that. It's fucking rad. And it helps me, like, talking to somebody like that. And I don't know if it's just because he's a podcaster too, or
You just brought it up to me just recently. I've heard you talk about him before, but like I said to him, he's very engaging. He has like a thirst for the knowledge, but he isn't overbearing. He's not pushing anything on you.
and it's a
He's
smart
just-
guy too, man.
Yeah. He's
Wow.
very into what he's talking about all the time.
Yep. And the whole model of how he's handling the financial end of his show, I appreciate that, man, a lot. I really do. Like, we haven't taken sponsors on this show yet, and I don't know. That's up in the air at this point.
Yeah, some of this brought up is very poignant to what we're doing and going through right now.
So, yeah, that's something that's going to have to be discussed, and, we'll see what happens down the road. But Greg, man, thank you for coming on the show. It was an honor and a pleasure to have early morning Sunday coffee with you, man. And I appreciate it a whole bunch. So everybody out there, follow us on Instagram at No Simple Road. Head over to the website, nosimpleroad.com. That's where you can grab your shirts. There's still some smalls left, and there's stickers up there. The Amazon link is down at the bottom of the page. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can click on the family tab and throw in your email. We don't share your fucking information with anybody. It just goes to us on some like Google Doc on our drive, and that's the only place it'll ever live. And hashtag your posts on Instagram with hashtag No Simple Road, and they will show up on the family tab as well. And we get to see each other, and it's cool. And you guys get to wave and show your delicious pizza and your knitted beanies and your cool Saucony running shoes or whatever you're
dogs and your
doing,
cat.
dogs and
Take a
cats.
picture of a squirrel.
Pictures of squirrels. I take pictures of like roadkill a lot. I should start putting those up.
We all enjoy a good woodpecker.
Yeah.
Right.
Woodpeckers.
Yeah.
Don't
And then
be put to
also patreon.com/No Simple Road. I mean, after talking to Greg just now, guys, you know what's up. You know why we're doing what we do. And making that leap to supporting the show is what keeps this going. And we love you guys that have signed up, and thank you so much. And you have our gratitude and our thanks. And those of you that are out there on the fence, just think of it like this, man. I mean, you'll pay $14.99 a month for Netflix, or you'll pay, $2 for more space on your Google Drive. If you're listening a few times a week, throw us $1 a month. That's a quarter a show, and that helps us keep the train rolling down the tracks. Somebody recently decreased their Patreon donation with us and sent like kind of an apology along with it, and there's no need for that, man. Like, you don't have to feel bad about fuck, we're all living, like, life gets tough. If you gotta drop off for a while, drop off and then come back when you can, or don't. Either way, there's no like,
It's gonna come from somewhere.
Yeah, and
someone else may have it that month. You know what I mean? And that's what's important, is to just do what you feel led to do, and you don't even need to think about it in comparison to anything else. Like, you're paying X amount for this service. Just think like, this is cool. I want to donate to it. I want to buy it today. I want to buy it this month. I want to support it this month. That's the real way to look at it. Just kind of
don't ever have any static with it.
Yeah, and no, $1 is not going to make or break the show, but all of you guys out there coming together with us and giving those cute dollars, it does make the difference for us. And
You guys ever play light as a feather, stiff as a board?
yeah,
As a kid, when everyone lifts each
Yeah.
other up with 2 fingers?
there you go.
Let's all lift the show up with a finger.
With a cute $1 finger. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Patreon.com/No Simple Road. And support the family, guys, and we'll keep doing our thing and supporting you. And we love you. Go out there and share a smile with a stranger. Give somebody a hug. Listen to some good music. Drink good coffee. Smoke good weed.
Tell someone I love you.
And tell somebody you love them. Yeah. Do that.
No, tell someone I love you.
Tell somebody that Ryder loves you.
Yes.
Ryder loves you.
I do love all of you.
Aw. All right. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next week with another fun-filled, glorious episode for vibrations in your ear holes. Yeah. Yay.
Yay!
Great Carlwood.
THC.
Like twisting, turn the mission, turning it's a journey. Wish the word is many problems, but it's a burden. Felony just been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? Still, no simple road. 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 My windshield is shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The reality is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A=A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.